We're an engineering firm out of Fort Worth, Texas. We are a regional engineering firm, as you guys will see as we go through some of my slides. And today we're going to talk a little bit about web to print, something you guys haven't heard about all week. So I actually gave you guys my presentation, but as I was here through conference all week, it kind of hit me that y'all don't really necessarily need to hear the same thing we've been talking about all week. So we're going to take a step back. We're going to go through my slides, but we're going to do a couple of other activities as well to talk about why web to print is a solution that fits for all of us as we move forward. Because I think you'd be surprised if you guys actually saw how many touches it takes to get to the end result and what a web to print solution can do for you to give you just as great of a product with a lot less touches. Okay, so really that's what I want you guys to take away from here today, which is going to be a little bit different than what my presentation has in your hands. Progress. We've had Web CRD now for a little over a year, implemented it for 6 months, but when I talk to my RSA team, they've told me it's going to take you longer than 6 months to get this up and running. It's going to take time. Be patient. Is that the end solution for your customer? No. But getting out there and building those relationships and networking with your customers, that's what's going to keep them coming back. You partnering with them to help get them through those templates. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. Try working with engineers. No offense, Vince. Try working with engineers. All right? And I deal with dam engineers. I do. They build dams. What? Okay, so those are the things that maybe we'll get to, maybe we won't. What's Freese Nichols? Did anybody come to my presentation last year? Sorry. So this is Juan and Hector, two of my implant guys. This is Juan. He doesn't look like this today. He's lost about 100 pounds. And Hector's here at conference today, so say hi to him. And I'll write him up because he's not here.
He's next door.
Oh, is he? Okay. Good, he's going to learn something. We are an A&E firm, which means we're an architectural engineering firm. We deal a lot with construction drawings. So you guys that are all universities and insurance firms, you're probably wondering why I'm here. Well, we have an implant. We are a 120-year-old engineering firm, and we print a lot. We are probably the oldest implant for a company that's 120 years old. They talk about letting us go, cutting us out. And continually, we do our part to testify just like you guys every day on why we bring relevance. We have 18 offices. Most of them are in the state of Texas. And I have one in North Carolina that I just opened this last year.
You mean 18 offices of print shop or 18 offices of the company?
Oh, I guess I should have told you a little bit about myself. I do run the print shop, but the majority of my job is spent opening offices throughout the state. So I'm on the road quite a bit, but the print shop does report to me. So I open, close, relocate, remodel, and I build out offices from the ground up. And the print shop reports to me, so it's kind of works out really well.
So do you have one print shop then?
I have one print shop. We are in Fort Worth. That's not to say that everybody in my other offices uses my print shop, but what I can tell you is that since we rolled Web CRD out 6 months ago, I now have customers from my other offices, which is amazing, right? Somehow all of a sudden now I'm keeping up those dollars in-house, and it's a nice thing to be able to take to the leadership team and say, hey, look, I'll tell you the first 6 months, I do not have large format in my print shop. However, I have large format on every floor in my office in Fort Worth because the engineers have to print, test fits, and all that stuff. In the first 5 months of the year, we outsourced $80,000 of large format printing. Yeah. Right? So I have it in my budget to be getting a kit this year, one of the large formats, and we'll be bringing those dollars back in-house. So if I'm spending $80,000 in the first 5 months of the year, I think I can justify a $90,000 return on it. My return on investment would be 16 months. Pretty good. So there's a thread that you guys are hearing all the way through this whole conference. How do you save money? How do you show your returns on investment? web to print, what are the solutions moving forward, and you're going to hear the same thing from me. For web CRD, I'm still considered on the cusp of being a medium-sized customer for them. We do over 1 million impressions, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's only small format. I don't know what we do large format because it goes out the door today. So I'm sure we're a lot higher than that. But we are considered a medium, just on the cusp of being in the medium-sized range for them at 1 million impressions a year. So volume is going to help you guys determine whether this is a good solution for you as well, right? If you're really low volume, you may not need that type of solution. Okay, so we know what universities do, but what do we do? I told you I have a lot of damn engineers, but for those of you that we do a lot of civil engineering. This is the University of North Texas, their law school that we've designed. I just want to give you an idea of our range. I hate to tell you, but the drought's really profitable for us. When West Texas got pummeled with the drought over the last few years, it is very beneficial to us. We have to dig deep and we have to get pipelines of water out to all these towns. So droughts are profitable for engineering firms.
Where does the water come from?
Dams. Dams, engineers. Let's see. This is an award-winning bridge that we just did in Fort Worth. It's a suspension bridge, but it's a national award-claimed bridge. For those of you that are going to be flying through Dallas-Fort Worth on your trip home, we designed that Skylink. I'm sure one or two of you have been on it. We also handle stormwater reclamation, so this is a stormwater drainage. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, it was these big concrete embankments. We've made them prettier now. Another dam. This is a Labyrinth Bridge out in Waco, Texas. That's pretty cool when it's in action. We do elevated water tanks, so they're all over the place. You guys know what they are. We just crossed into the market of CNGs. So we're heavy in the Florida market right now on building the natural gas distribution centers. And then this one, most of you may or may not know. But in 1929, Freese Nichols designed the San Antonio Riverwalk that you guys may or may not have already been to. Just a fun little fact. Okay, so it's a process, guys. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. Until these guys retire or I bury them in their dam work, I'm not going to get them out the door. And I'm never going to get them on board with web CRD. I understand that. We're okay with that. But it's the younger kids that are coming out of college that truly are interested in web CRD. Web to print, I should have said that backwards. They're the ones interested in web to print. They're not interested in going through the middleman. They want to set it up themselves, and they want to see what it's going to look like. For us, that's been a huge win. A huge win. And I don't have to deal with the millennials. Just kidding. I love the millennials. Just kidding. I do. Okay, how about IT? Anybody have any IT resources that aren't quite as readily available as they used to be?
Why don't you ask the reverse of that?
Which would be?
Do you have any IT staff that you're completely compatible with?
Good question. Do you? Anybody? Well, that's great.
That's great.
In Rita's session, what we learned is if you feed them cookies, you will get things done. Pies, cakes, all of those things. So maybe go that route. But our IT teams, they're getting more and more stretched. As we know through software or through security, their time and dedication really has changed. We talked about in the last section that there is a greater demand on making sure that Target doesn't breach my account again through, I don't remember who the other ones were, but there's been a couple national breaches recently. All of us in the IT, not me, all of the IT people are feeling that pressure to make sure that stuff doesn't happen again. So the resources for us are getting a little bit more and more limited. and deployment has changed. So there's big discrepancy whether people want to host their own software or if they want it to be out there in the virtual world. I'm all for the virtual world. Keep it up there. Let the space guys have fun with it. It costs us less money than to house it inside. But there are some universities, there are governments that won't allow you to do that. But there's costs to that. So some of that has to be weighed out. This is kind of the before web to print, the chaos. And this is a picture of my web CRD web to print solution. And I'm happy to get online at some point before the conference is over if any of you guys want to see how my software program works. I'll tell you though, the internet here, if you haven't experienced it, is really slow. Really slow. All right, I think you guys heard over and over again that web to print is becoming a more and more necessary solution. It's one of the top 3 things that companies and implants are starting to look for. That's the truth. This study was done from InfoTrends in 2014, this year, that web to print, 44.7% of the people polled currently own it, and 26.8% do not own, but they're considering to purchase it. Now, this next slide is going to show you a different number. It says 27%. That was 2 years ago. So I'm going to go back. So 2 years ago, 27% of the folks said they wanted to get web CRD, web to print. Now it's up to 26.8. Did I say that right? 27. Well, it's about the same, sorry. So we know that it's a solution that's on people's radars. So keep that in mind. Solution. I needed something that could help take the pressure off of me to have to funnel through a book and go, what the heck did I put in that office? Because once I build it, I don't remember. I purge it out of my brain. So WebCRD came up with a great solution for me that allowed me to drop every piece of furniture for every single office and tag it by office. So when an admin says, oh, Johnny broke this chair again, I need to order another one, that is one phone call I don't need. It's one order that gets generated that drives a purchase order for me and goes right out the door. I don't touch it, and the chair magically appears. So for someone like me that handles so much furniture, we've got 550 employees, that was a huge relief for me. A huge relief. So I challenge you guys to think outside the box. As you're looking at solutions, talk to these vendors and see what else they can do for you besides just driving that. Maybe you do need it to track software. Maybe you need it to track how much paper you've got coming and going. All of these solutions are customizable for you, so dive hard into it. Ask the tough questions and don't just be a one-stop shop on printing. Figure out how else you can do things, right? Any questions on that? And here's the other cool thing. Just because you live in Corpus Christi, you don't get that you don't get a Wolfpack chair. You have to order the stuff right out of your office because I have to maintain uniformity in that particular office or branding. Okay? Any questions on that? How we did that? That was a huge. Okay, guys, you've got all of these numbers in front of you. There is data after data or data after data, whichever term you like, potatoes, you got it all. Any of these vendors that were here today will come and help you. Let them find solutions to help you with. You heard from Bob, you heard from Barb, you heard from so many people this week that the web to print is the future. We've got to stay on top of it. And I heard it time and time again, as you are looking to retire or as your colleagues are looking to retire, many of you are bringing on these younger generations because they have that technological background. Well, guess what? If you don't have these solutions and your only solution is email, you're going to lose them. So retention plays a big part of this as well. And it's important. You want to keep that younger staff with those new and creative ideas, challenging us dinosaurs that can barely handle our iPhones anymore because a 2-year-old can handle it better. It's true, right? So you gotta keep that current and relevancy out there. RSA is my provider. I've been a part of IPMA now for 3 years. And we partnered up with them, not in Kansas City, but I met up with these guys just before conference last year. And you know, it took us some time. And I went to all of them. I perused everybody, but the fit was just really good with us, and they were able to help us. So I'm not here to push RSA. I'm just here to tell you they were my choice because of what they were able to do for me at the cost that I needed.
Which saves time.
Yes. So let me talk about reporting. So I called Alicia and I said, hey, can you get me some reporting on all the stuff that we're doing with web CRD? She said, yeah, no problem. She calls me back, she said, hey, now I want you guys to remember, I've only been active on this for 6 months, right? I got dinosaurs out there that only want to email. I can tell you that we're doing 150,000 jobs, paper, I don't know, I don't remember, it's 150,000, I'm gonna think about that. Let me keep going, and I'll circle back to what that number is. 150, I don't know. Anyway, she called and she said, your numbers aren't matching what you told me. Your numbers are lower. What? My team's telling me that they're averaging 150 jobs a month. Now, I don't know what the impression count on that is, but what they're telling me is they're doing 150 jobs a month on average. Alicia comes back and says, you're showing maybe 80. But mind you, I'm on the road. I don't look at my reports all the time. And she said, you probably don't want to put that snapshot in there. But what it did for me was it gave me the opportunity to go back and say, hey guys, what's going on? You guys are telling me this. Here's what the numbers are saying. Where's the disconnect? Well, the disconnect is I just moved to Austin, and a bunch of that was business cards. I had to redo business cards for 100 employees because we just moved across the street. So all of those weren't in there. We decided not to drop all of them in there. We just manually handled all of those. And there were a couple of other variables, but the biggest one is that Juan was getting all that stuff in his email, and he wasn't uploading it. So I have a staffing issue I have to deal with now. Because when WebCRD rolled out, one of my challenges to them was anytime somebody calls you and says to you, I'm having a problem, your first response is what? For my team, it's I'll be right there. And I've challenged them to go sit next to that person while they're uploading a job so that they can see and learn, not do it themselves, but I want my engineers to handle putting that job in there so they learn how to do it and they don't have to call us again. And then what do they become? They become my advocate and they teach all the other engineers around them, right? It's worked out great. And I can see the trends on my reports that my users are going up. So more and more people are using my web to print solution, but I don't have 550 people on it yet, and I probably never will. But to drive customer service, I'm okay with that.